And we're live. What's up, folks? We are here to talk some sports. Again, just desperation mode at this point. Subscribe, thumbs up, all those things that go along with it. We miss it like you guys do. And we just wanted to go through a few more topics, just kind of like impromptu things that we're kind of coming up with just to discuss sports. I'm sure some of you guys got opinions. I forget who it was that commented yesterday about some baseball player that retired 2 years before I was born being a better fielder than Griffey. I can't say. I never saw him play. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if he retired in 78 and I'm born in 80, I have no opinion on the guy.
I'm really starting to just think about like what those DraftKings lobbies are going to look like the first day sports is back.
So I actually had to talk to my parents the other day, and they're like, so what's going to happen with your business when sports comes back? I go, well, I think there's going to be a ton of people who are going to be desperate to play. They're going to create the entertainment. They're get it. I think the people come rushing back. That'll be good. The flip side of that is you're going to have a lot of people who are broke as a joke and can't afford to gamble or anything like that. So they're not going to be playing. So it's going to be a mixed bag like everything in life.
True. You are right, and you are right.
So we're just going to go through a handful of topics, just kind of things that we got off your mind, get the other person's opinion on it. You got a couple. I got a handful of them that we'll go with. So I'll start first. And again, I'll hit you with your sweet spot baseball on the first one. Should Pete Rose be in the Hall of Fame?
No doubt about it. No question about it. I mean, there's absolutely no question. We've talked about this before. The Baseball Hall of Fame is the hardest Hall of Fame to get into. It's difficult. You have to be really an all-time great, a great player. Well, Pete Rose was that and then some. The only reason he's not in the Hall of Fame is because of, the gambling scandal where he got caught betting, not even on a game, not even on his own game or anything like that, just got caught betting on baseball. And yeah, that's wrong, and he shouldn't have done that. But, I mean, come on. Like, are you for real? Like, in this day and age, that just seems so minuscule. I think a lot of that had to do with, well, I don't want to say a lot of it had to do with, but I think the reason that it happened partly was because he was never a guy that was really liked. He was always like kind of a tough-nosed guy that, if you were in his way, he was going to run you over, literally and figuratively.
See another one named Barry Bonds, who's kind of dealing with the same thing. Barry Bonds has got the greatest statistics in baseball history, but I mean, clearly the guy was on steroids, but he also was not liked at all. It would be easy. Jason Giambi, right, who was liked and admitted things, to kind of works past there if he had the same numbers.
Pete Rose, like, he didn't have the offensive success that Barry Bonds did, but they are similar in the sense that they both were not liked. And let's not forget Pete Rose is the all-time hit leader. Like, he wasn't some just good hitter. He's one of only two players to have over 4,000 hits. You think about that now, like, that's incredible. He should definitely be in the Hall of Fame. His numbers make him like a first ballot, no-brainer Hall of Famer. So he should be in. What's your take?
And correct me if I'm wrong. When he bet on his own team, from what I've gathered, he bet on his own team to win. So he didn't bet against the Reds. He didn't throw games or anything like that. Now, I have to assume that the people watching this video are avid DFS players, so we're all gamblers and bettors. We're probably more sympathetic to him in a situation like that because I agree with you. I think he should be in the Hall of Fame. And unless you're betting against your own team, I don't give two rats' asses, if you're out there betting or not. To me, it doesn't influence what you're doing. Now, you got caught betting against your own team and tanking games, out. No question about it, none. I would have no forgiveness for that.
You should not be allowed to bet baseball if you're in baseball because there's just, you're too interconnected. It just isn't right.
Insider trading.
But yes, but there's a big difference. While that's wrong, in my opinion, he should have gotten punished for that. So maybe I care about that a little more than you do. I agree with you in the sense that really the only strict punishment would be for if he bet against his own team, was caught cheating, fixing games, that type of stuff.
Like Adam Sandler in The Longest Yard.
Exactly. So yeah, definite Hall of Famer.
Okay. I'm with you. I would have him in the Hall of Fame. I can get, if you didn't want to vote him in on the first ballot, if you're going to put up a little stink about that, if you're a baseball writer and you have him a vote. But I'm with you 100%. He should definitely, no questions. All right, next up. So here's a little bit of a more interesting question, one that you've probably never been asked before. This is something more that I've gathered off of, posting videos throughout social media and seeing people answer a question like this. One-on-one basketball game. Who wins? Allen Iverson versus Shaquille O'Neal.
Definitely Allen Iverson, in my opinion. Like, not even. I don't even think it's like particularly close, to be honest.
Because I'm the exact opposite.
Wow, wow, really?
Yeah, because I'm just like, what is? I mean, Shaquille. I mean, he's just gonna back him down on every single
Iverson
play.
will steal the ball from him probably every time he tries to back him down.
How is he gonna get around him without fouling?
How is Shaq? He's like, the old saying in football, and it's not always the case in basketball, but a lot of times on defense, the low man wins. Iverson is the low man in that battle, and he'll be able to get around Shaq without Shaq even noticing. And once Iverson gets the ball, how is Shaq going to be able to keep him in front of him? Like, I don't even think it's a question.
Okay. I was interested to see where we would go. I've actually saw people like debating these questions, and I feel like
love that question.
Both people are very, very animated and convicted on the way they feel about this, because there are the two schools of thought. Like, one, like Shaquille O'Neal is legitimately 140 pounds and a foot taller than Allen Iverson. Like, again, if they have to take it from half court, that's a different story. But if you're just if you're starting at the top of the 3-point line,
Shaq can dribble though. Like, if he could shoot at all, like Iverson can just like get up on him as soon as he gets the ball. What is Shaq gonna do? Like, if he gets the ball at the top,
hold the ball out here, and if Iverson comes around him, step and dunk.
I don't know, man. I see Iverson winning that game. Like, I don't see Shaq ever stopping him when he has the ball. Shaq is not built for like one.
You don't think Iverson is going to miss one shot outside of it? Because he's not going to be in the paint a lot, right? He's going to shoot a lot of mid-range jumpers. A lot of,
blow by Shaq. He'll get whatever shot he wants. See, for me, like, Shaq is not a one-on-one type player. Iverson is a one-on-one type player. Shaq is a low post, beast in the NBA. But one-on-one, I mean, I don't really think it's particularly close. I'm interested to hear, what other people think about that.
Yeah, so am I. I've watched people go back and forth on this one because it is interesting. It's two completely polar opposite styles.
Yeah, I would bet a lot of money on Iverson in that matchup. I mean, I would bet money on, like, a lot of guys against Shaq one-on-one. I mean, I would bet on, like, guys less than Allen Iverson. I'm trying to think of a guy in the NBA today I would take over Shaq one-on-one.
Brandon Knight.
No, definitely not. Russell Westbrook.
Sure. Russell Westbrook's probably a good 30, 40 pounds heavier than Allen Iverson, too, and a good 4 or 5 inches taller.
I would take Kyrie.
That matters to me is the pure size, because there's just no way for Allen Iverson. Like, once Shaq turns that backside onto you and holds the ball out here, yeah, you could try, but AI can't reach around him to get the ball. He's legitimately got to come around him, and he can just back him down slowly and methodically.
I don't see it personally, but we agree to disagree.
I would love to watch it. Maybe not now, because both of those guys, Iverson's clearly had a rough go of it, throughout a good portion of his life, and Shaquille's about 50 pounds overweight. But back in their heyday, I think it would be a lot of fun to watch, because they are not anywhere close. Like, you told me it's Scottie Pippen against Shaquille O'Neal. I love your argument, because Pippen could find a way to at least his life more difficult with those long arms. That's why I picked a really, really small guy like that. But also, as great as Iverson was, he was not a great outside shooter. He was not a good 3-point shooter. So I think he can miss a couple of shots if Shaquille just defends the paint to make.
I don't know. I think
but not all of them.
I think he gets like wide open looks. I think, and I'll say it like this: like, most NBA guards should be able to beat NBA big men in one-on-one, because like, guards are just built for one-on-one. Big men, I think, struggle. They're not built for that role. We agree to disagree. It's okay. I got a good question for you coming up. I'm going to switch to the DFS side of things. This is a personal question, but I'm just interested to hear. I'm sure the audience is too. You've been in this game for a while now. What is your all-time favorite any sport DFS memory?
Turning $3 into 8,500.
Explain it. Go into some detail.
I mean, this is years back now, but it's my best investment, I guess, is the best way to look at it. I've had some days where I've won thousands, but I don't play for. Yeah, return on. Thank you. I could not think of the word I was looking for, but ROI is what I'm talking about, because I play in I want to say I played like $125 in double ups and $15 in GPPs that day, and brought back like 9,300. But most specifically, was an $8,500 win off of a $3 investment. It was like on a simple 3 slate Sunday afternoon game. Set my lineups, brought my kids out to like this little like trampoline park type area, and I knew the day was going well because you knew you had picked the right guys and stuff like that. But when I and opened up my laptop and saw that my contest winnings was 9,500, your immediate thought is, well, that's going to change, right? You're like, obviously the game's not over. I'm missing something. And then you look at your lineup and you look at who's behind you. And the only guy that was behind me, and I know I've told this story before, that had any real chance of catching up, had Wesley Johnson Clippers going. And like within 20 seconds of looking this up, Wesley Johnson went from 3 fouls, 5, got pulled, and never went back in the game. And for the next quarter, I'm sweating my balls off, deciding, do I tell my old lady about this or just take the money and run?
Yeah, I know that feeling all too well. That's one of those good problems, though. So that's sweet, man. I definitely heard that story, and I love it.
How about for you? I'm assuming it was the basketball one or one of the baseball ones?
I think the best DFS moment for me was the basketball one, the first one, when it was like, oh, shit, this can really happen, and it was just awesome how that worked out. So, yeah, man, with Orlando and Aaron Gordon, my favorite NBA player of all time.
See, and for all your big wins, I prefer the baseball one, the one where the catcher for the Angels, who had 4 home runs all year, but hit 2 of them in one game, and hit the second one to send you from third or second up to first place.
That's just
I don't remember it.
And and it goes to what you talked about, like with Wesley Johnson. You need like so much shit to break right for you when you're if you're gonna hit like get into the top of one of those tournaments. And we talk about this a lot. Like a couple points here and there like is a big deal in a lot of these tournaments. So with how
sure, and especially
go ahead.
I would say especially for like what I did with the 40,000 people. You got to be so lucky on that game. You have a bunch of big wins because you play contrarian in baseball, but you also put your money where your mouth is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, like when you turn 50, when you win 50, it's better. And I know a lot of guys out there who probably can't relate to that, but they can relate putting that $3 bet in or $4. Dude, you got to get so lucky to get to the top of one of those. I think Tyler Zeller went off for like 42 DK points that day on a min salary, and I had him at like 3% ownership. Like that just doesn't happen very often. It's just like it's a lottery ticket.
Especially anymore, it just hardly happens anymore. In baseball, like it happens though, because it's just less predictable. Like
right?
That catcher hitting a second home run was random. Like, and that was
come on, dude, you got to know his name.
But the point is like someone doing that isn't a shock because that happens in baseball, like maybe not every day, but like, every couple of days, like a random guy will do that. I mean, that's why I love baseball. Because people play it the same way as the other sports, but it's just not, you can't project it. You can't project it at all.
It's not even close to the same. And
No.
I think one of the things about us kind of teaming up on this is I play baseball a little bit differently, talking about that. And I think I've like showed you back expected it, and your guy loses his run. You can't control that. It happens to every single DFS player. It is uncontrollable. You can make guesses, but it's going to happen from time to time. Like you said, there are days when Mike Trout is in a crush spot. You got Mike Trout against a weak lefty on a hot streak. He's 9 of 10 against this guy, and he walks once, lines out twice, and then faces a new pitcher. And it's not your fault that he only got 2 points, but it happens. Russell Westbrook, if he plays the full game, never goes for 4 DK points.
No, and there's going to be times where Mike Trout, has good games there, obviously, because it's Mike Trout. But the other thing about baseball is most of the time people don't have good games. If you get a hit every 3 at bats in your career, you're like a for sure Hall of Famer. So it's a humbling, tough game. I'm so excited for baseball, and that just gets me angry that we're not like talking about it tonight. I love Friday night slates too. Like, this is awful.
Yeah, in basketball and football, luck can play a part in every game. Bad calls by the referees and the umpires. But in baseball, like, I was thinking about it when we talked about that Francisco Cabrera base hit the other day in that 92 Braves Pittsburgh that game. And, there's three ways to look at a ball. Was it hard hit? Could, higher likelihood of being a base hit. And then there's weak hit. You got to get lucky to get a base hit. But then there's a million balls like his. Then it was well struck, but it was not hard hit. And it can go in any which direction. Sometimes you find a hole and sometimes you don't. There's just way more luck that you can't control.
And the other thing, there's not only is there way more luck, like there's so few at bats, like one strike and an at bat changes everything. There's, like you just talked about, he could walk, then line out, and then all of a sudden he's facing a new pitcher. It's just it's just a really small sample size. I just love everything about baseball. I mean,
For you, those of you guys who weren't ball players growing up and maybe don't watch the game very closely, I don't think it can be overstated. The lack of comprehension you have on the difference of being in a 2-0 count versus being like in an 0-1 count. You know what I mean? And sometimes that's out of your control because umpires make a ton of mistakes. Until we move to the automated strike zone, they're going to continue to make a ton of mistakes. And it's huge. When you're in a 2-0 count, you pick out a portion of the zone, maybe the top right-hand corner, and you look for fastball. If you don't get a fastball up there, you don't swing. You are looking for that pitch to try to hit 400 feet to the opposite side, or for the the changeup low and in, or whatever. You're picking a zone and you're picking a pitch and you're trying to sit on it. When you're down 0-2, you got to swing at anything that's close. It's just way harder.
I don't know what it is, but I would imagine that the average batting average for 0-2 is like maybe like around 100, maybe plus or minus 100, and the batting average for 2-0 is like
probably 300.
60. I was gonna say.
I don't know. I was gonna say it's probably 320, something like that. And I would be bet on 0-2. I bet you. I was gonna say 185. Like that was my first thought process. I have no idea. I mean, I'm sure that's probably out there if we want to look it up, but not right now. It's definitely out there though. All right. So this is going to be a more tough one because, again, no matter what it give me, I can't tell if you're right or wrong. Definitely an opinion. Wide receivers. I think Michael Thomas, DeAndre Hopkins, and Julio Jones are probably, at this point, your 1, 2, and 3. What's your rank? Just moving forward next year, how would you rank these three studs?
Those three? Like you're automatically just putting those three?
Yeah.
What about your boy Devontae?
Is there anybody else you would put? I think Devontae, he's right there. Then you can start talking about your Tyreek Hills, Devontae Adams, and guys like that. But I think for my money, those are the top three wide receivers. Both.
Hopefully Odell Beckham can get back in that conference.
But and real life wise. Yeah, he's not though right now.
No, he's not right now, but hopefully he can get back there. How I would rank them is Hopkins is number 1. I just think he's the best receiver in football. So it's funny. So I think Hopkins is 1, Michael Thomas is 2, and Julio is 3. I think they're all close.
It's so close.
Thomas is the most productive. He's also got the best quarterback situation. Quarterback that loves him. He's never really had even a number 2 wide receiver. And Hopkins is the best of them, so I put him number 1. But Julio, like on any given day, he scares me the most because he's like the freakiest of them all. So they're all really, really good.
There's no right or wrong answer here. I think I would rank them Thomas, Julio, Hopkins, but it's not 1, 2, 3. It's 1A, 1B, and 1C. They're all fantastic. I think DeAndre Hopkins has the best hands of any wide receiver I've ever seen. I've become so impressed with Michael Thomas, his ability to get open, even though everybody knows it's always going to him, and yet he's always wide open. I think it's absolutely amazing. I know Drew Brees is, like you said, he's not much better than Deshaun Watson, though, and Matt Ryan.
Well, Hopkins only had Watson for a couple of years, and before that was like really shitty quarterbacks.
Sure.
Ryan's good. Brees is great. So it's not like Ryan sucks, but Brees is like an all-time great. Kind of just to piggyback off that question, though, because when I think about the top wide receivers, I automatically think of this guy. This is like a half statement, half question. I'm going to say my statement, and then I want to see if you agree. You know how much I love Hopkins, and all these guys are really good. But I would take prime Calvin Johnson over any of them.
I can't say I disagree.
Okay.
Because I don't. I don't say it with the same conviction as you, but
Okay.
I do probably agree. And as much as I thought Megatron was great, there were years and games where he left some to be desired in my eyes.
For sure.
For the freakish talent. Now, part of that could just be going to a black hole of an organization. Like, what would Calvin Johnson have done for a different organization if he'd been playing under Andy Reid or something like that?
Yeah. I mean, this was a team that took, like 3 wide receivers in the top 5 in like 4 years. So they couldn't, I mean, this was, when I think of like the best receivers that I saw growing up, obviously Jerry Rice, that's just the guy that everyone says is the best receiver. But my mind goes to Randy Moss and Calvin Johnson.
Sure. Because I think with me for Moss, as great as, Jerry Rice is kind of like Tom Brady in the essence that he has the championships. He's got the numbers and everything like that. But if you told me eye test watching the game of football, I'm more scared of Randy Moss if I've been opposing defensive coordinator than I am of Jerry Rice. And Jerry Rice is great routes. He's not the most athletic, the fastest, or the biggest, but he also played his entire career in great spots with great quarterbacks and everything that went along with it. Randy Moss scares me more than Jerry Rice does if I'm opposing D coordinator. Are we cutting in and out for you?
Yes, we are big time.
Okay. So that's the way I look at it. And again, I brought up the playmaker Michael Irvin. I think he is a little underrated because he had a shorter, and there's other great guys as well, Torrey Holt and stuff like that. But for me, Randy Moss, fan, I watched him dance all over us for years.
All right, it's a good answer. Go with your next one.
Okay. Besides me, who's your favorite person to listen talk about sports? I'm thinking more from a media perspective, not like your dad or your buddy.
I mean, my favorite person to talk about sports is this is sad. I'm almost embarrassed to say this, but I love Stephen A. Smith, man. He just cracks me up. I love him. He really cracks me up. I remember him when he used to be like the Sixers beat reporter basically and covering them for ESPN. And he's really, I don't want to say like developed his game, but like he's developed his game. He's the highest paid ESPN analyst or whatever you want to call him. So I think that speaks volumes. I sent you and got you on the Stephen A. Smith like burner account, which is one of the funniest accounts going right now. And that is not out of my mind when I'm thinking about this right now. He's just hilarious. I love watching him. He makes it funny. He's knowledgeable. Yeah, he slips up, and I know that maybe he could be a little more knowledgeable, but he's knowledgeable enough. I know
I think a big problem with him is because he's become more entertainer than analyst. So he's traveling. He's on the plane all the time, and he's doing his radio show, and he's not able to watch sports like he once could because clearly he knows his basketball. But in my mind, like listening to him talk basketball the last few years, I think he's slipped a little. What I mean by that is he still knows basketball better than me, you, and everybody else. But I used to feel like he was a cut above a lot of the other people in the NBA. And now there are a lot of times where I can tell listening to him talk that he hasn't watched that player that much. Whether it's going to somebody like a De'Aaron Fox or something like that, like a star or a budding star. And I'm like, dude, no, that's just not true. Like, I haven't seen as much of him. And I get it because his time is in demand right now. Years ago, when he taught basketball, I was like, man, like nobody holds a candle to him.
So you're right. He's not really an analyst anymore. But what he does just have, and, I don't want to say more than anyone else, but on par with just about anyone else, is like connections with the league. So he's got like his thumbprint on the league. So he knows what's going on. He's got connections. He's got sources. He is good at talking. He's fun to listen to. So you're right. His analysts, he's seen better analyst days, no doubt about it. But just in terms of like who I like listening to, I think of him, and then I think of Jim Rome. But I listen to more Stephen A. Smith than I do Jim Rome.
Yeah, I think Jim Rome for me was a guy that you get introduced to him, you love him, you listen to him a lot, and then after a while, you get burnt out from him.
Yeah,
because it's a lot of him. Because he goes on those long rants that don't make a lot of sense. That just they lose their entertainment and shock value after a while. Because I was like most guys that love sports, I had my Rome phase, and now it's like I listen to him and I'm like for a few minutes I'm like, unless it's the smack off, I'm just not that interested.
I mean, I loved when like Rome is Burning was on ESPN2 or whatever it was. Like I loved that. You're so right about that. You are. I mean, just you're yes, you are right. Yeah. What about you?
So that is an interesting question because I was kind of thinking about it, and I'd like to say that I have like somebody like a smaller YouTube sensation person I like, but I really don't. You know what I mean? I was going to say, because this question's weird, I like watching Skip Bayless because I like to hate him, and I don't like him, and I enjoy really being able to root against him, even though I think he's wrong about most things. And it's kind of the same reason I love watching the Vikings, because I love to root against them. So like I'll actively be rooting on Shannon Sharp or Stephen A. Smith back in the day because I'm like, Skip's a fucking idiot. He's dumb. But ultimately, I like the other half of First Take. I like Max Kellerman a lot, although I am also a big, I like Stephen A. I don't watch First Take like I used to way back in the days because there's just so many other things to watch. But I like the way Max phrases things because he's analytical and he's statistic based a lot of times. And there are times I disagree with him. But ultimately, he seems like a pretty normal dude as well.
I get that. I like him too. He's just too much of like a kiss ass for me. Like I just hate that. I don't like that at all. He's very knowledgeable. And I like boxing too. And he's like the man on boxing. So he's very knowledgeable and I like him.
Yeah. The other day, did you see when I forget which boxing guy was on? He's like, there's probably only 10 people in the world who know more about boxing than you. Max is like, yeah, who are these 10 people? Like, no.
Yeah, I doubt that. I mean, that's how he made his like name for himself. So,
yeah, and I don't know squat about boxing.
It's impressive that he's gotten bigger as boxing has gotten smaller.
Yep. Well, sometimes you just, that's
other good.
With ESPN not being what it once was, like they've had to really plant the flag on personalities that are likable, and that's why Stephen A. Smith gets paid just a Brinks truck full of money, and they got a guy like Max Kellerman that is, he's a good antithesis to to Stephen A. Smith. They complement each other well.
They do. You need a guy like strong-willed like Kellerman to go up against Stephen A. Smith, because Stephen A. Smith will eat a lot of people for lunch.
Yeah, because they don't have the alpha male kind of like of the confidence. And Stephen A. is, even though he's wrong a lot, and like you said, we can probably find times where, like you say, he slips up, he doesn't know what he's talking about, the names are wrong and stuff like that. He has almost a presidential type of bravado where he'll say it with confidence where you're like, if you didn't know any better, and it's only because he talks about a subject that I know very well, I'd be like, he's right all the time. I wouldn't know any better. The way he says it, it's so confident.
For sure. You got to like that.
Do you have any other questions?
Yeah, I do. So this is kind of just like on the, I haven't asked you this. Well, I haven't asked you this in a few days at least. And I'm interested to hear if anything's changed. I know Trump has come out with like some sort of 3-phase plan or whatever. Just a guess, because I know you don't know. So don't say you don't know, because I know you don't know. No one knows. When do you think, like, give me a date on when we're going to have sports again?
July 1st.
Okay. It's a while away, but man, like I can see July 1st, like if you tell me 2021, I'm like, oh man, like that is hard to swallow. July 1st, it's like we can get there.
So you guys know I'm a Wisconsin resident. The governor came out yesterday and announced the stay-at-home action or whatever they call it until I believe it's almost the end of May. So I have a mixed group of friends on Facebook. People I played baseball with as a kid, people with everything, and just watching people back and forth on this, it really gets under my skin. Oh, I can't believe he's doing this. He's such a moron. This is not the way to handle it. Like, you have no knowledge on pandemics. Please just let people make decisions. It's not like he's sitting around with his medical expertise. Like, he has other people telling him. And like him or don't like him, that you know better. And it gets under my skin listening to a lot of people. Like, because you preface that with saying, I know you don't know, because that's all that we can do. But when people think they know how to handle the situation any better, it does something that gets under my skin a bit.
Oh, well, hell yeah. I mean, for me, like, it's not even about being able to handle the situation better. And we don't want to talk politics on this, but I hate people. Like, I'll just say this. Like, if you're good, you tell everyone you're good. If you're great, everyone tells you you're great. So that's how I view that. And there's certain things I don't like, but I'm not going to sit here and claim I know any better.
That's a great statement for the American culture in general. When people, anybody who tells you over and over again how great they are, they're not really that great. And that goes great within the DFS community too. When I watch people on DFS Twitter and they're constantly like trying to like pump themselves up, talking about how they're the number one DFS provider, I usually think they're full of it. That's the first thing that goes to my mind.
Same, man. Same. I agree. I kind of thought about that when I said that statement, for sure.
Yeah, and most of you guys within the DFS world probably know what we talk about. I don't claim that we're the best at DFS. In fact, I don't think that we are. I'm sure there are players out there who do a better job than we do, and potentially touts as well. But you don't see us on Twitter being like, "Oh, it's the greatest service provider of all time," or we appreciate when customers say that. And even sometimes when they say it, I'm like, "Yeah, we're probably not," but I appreciate the kind words.
Yeah, exactly. And we offer a little bit of a different, not service, but like kind of a unique community. So, yeah, couldn't agree more.
Also just like common, very down-to-earth, regular guys. And I feel like that's kind of been our niche within the industry more than anything. I know I kind of started it, and you've been kind of like the perfect complement to it because you're very much in the same way. Just regular dudes. Crap stinks just like everybody else. And, I got my good days and my bad days playing DFS. Some days better than others, of course, like you all do. But I just want to be relatable and just feel like it's somebody you could sit down and take a shot at Jameson with.
Yeah, exactly. Couldn't agree more. That's what you first drew me in. So
yeah, people snip through the BS pretty quick. DFS players as a whole are a pretty intelligent group of people. And if you're constantly talking yourself up, but they're never winning, that becomes off more. At least with us, like when we suck, we say we suck.
Yeah, which unfortunately is well, I don't want to say too often, but everyone sucks too often because everyone wishes they won more. So yeah, I suck too often because I wish I won more.
I want to win 100% of the time. And I will tell you right now, I haven't tracked it that well, but I can say with great confidence, I have not won 100% of slates.
This is true. I can say that as well for both me and you.
All right. So here's my last question I came up with for you. Now, what is your favorite non-Ohio sports team of all time? This can be one team overall for your whole life, or it can be a team just for maybe a handful of years. I love the players on this team, and I just really, really got into them. And I was a big fan of the Texas Rangers from 1982 to 1985, even though I know that's not your answer.
It's such a great question. That is such a good question, man. So I've lived in a couple different cities. So I automatically lean there. And I do, I went, as you know, I went to college in New Orleans. So I have a little bit of a soft spot in my heart for the New Orleans teams. But to call myself a fan of any of those teams, I think would not be right.
Yeah, because I never even think about you being a Saints fan.
Yeah, so I will say though, and after that, when I graduated from college, I moved to Colorado. And while I was never a huge Colorado anything fan, that's only because I'm such a big Cleveland everything fan. And that's the only reason why. I'm just a big Cleveland everything fan. But if I had to answer that question, it would be the Rockies. I like the Rockies a lot. I was a fan of the Rockies when I lived out there. I like a couple of their players a lot. You know that Arenado is one of my favorite players. German Marquez is one of my favorite players. I would say the Rockies. Now, again, I don't for me, it's Indians or bust. I don't really care about anyone else, but they would be my.
It's easier in baseball, too, to have a separate league because they don't play a lot. Yeah. I mean, the Indians have play the Rockies, once every 10 years?
Yeah, exactly. So it's a great question, and that's where I would go. same question right back at you with Milwaukee, obviously, or Wisconsin.
Okay, so I will also preface this by saying from the ages of 18 to 28, I lived in Minneapolis. And when I moved up there, the Bucks, again, they weren't on national TV every day when I was a kid, and they were mostly terrible. Also, as a kid, I loved the Bulls because of Michael Jordan. Every guy my age loved the Bulls. So there's the Jordan Bulls is definitely a team that I liked a lot. But then when I moved up to Minneapolis, I like the Twins because it was easy to be a fan of the Twins, but also have an NL team. But I didn't want to give those cheap answers. I love the Steve Nash, Sean Marion, and Amari Stoudemire Phoenix Suns. I thought they were so much fun to watch. In a lot of ways, they revolutionized modern basketball to what it is. People will say it was Curry and the Warriors, but in a lot of ways, D'Antonio and the Suns, with their 7 seconds or less, really turned the basketball into what it is right now, which is it's more fun to watch than it used to be. Not saying the game's better, but it is more entertaining a little bit.
I agree. I agree. So, okay. Who is your favorite player?
Stoudemire. I would dominate with him on NBA Live.
God, we wanted him in Cleveland so bad. I know there was a time where the Cavs turned down a deal Amari Stoudemire for J.J. Hickson, which did not work out too well for Cleveland.
No. Granted, Stoudemire's career got cut short, but I think a lot of people forget how good he was for a while.
Oh, yeah.
And part of it was the system, and part of it was Steve Nash giving him easy bucket after easy bucket. But Stoudemire was a joy to watch because that guy would just absolutely throw it down on you 3 or 4 times a game. The alley-oops from Nash, they were just fun. Sean Marion doing a little bit of everything with that weird shot of his. People forget how good Sean Marion is. Multiple-time All-Star, 20-10 guy one year.
Won a title with Dallas.
Yeah, he was also a very good defensive player, but because the Suns didn't play defense, people forget, they were asking him at 6'7" to play against opposing big men every single night. So they always have a soft spot in my heart.
I got a good one for you.
All right.
It's kind of simple, right to the point. We've talked about this kind of a bunch recently, so I'm interested to hear where you land. For your NFL franchise for the next 10 years, consider all these guys, in their primes, the coaches and the players. You can pick one of these quarterback coach combos out of these two. Bill Belichick and Jamarcus Russell, or Hugh Jackson and Dan Marino.
Hugh Jackson and Dan Marino.
Okay, you think it's that easy?
Yeah, I do.
Okay,
I'll give you this. At one point, people thought Hugh Jackson was going to be a good coach. The only person who ever thought Jamarcus Russell was good was Al Davis.
Yeah, but that's not true. He was the number 1 overall pick. And he did start in the NFL. It's not like he was just awful for being a number 1 pick. I mean, again, he wasn't any good, but
Dan Marino was going to be great no matter where he went.
Let's say, what about Hugh Jackson and Drew Bledsoe? That was kind of the guy I was going for. I couldn't really think of a middling guy like that, though. Do you know what I mean? Marino was too good, but go ahead.
Yeah, Marino is. There's still conversations that you could have about Marino being the GOAT. I don't care that he has no rings. That guy can move the ball unlike anybody else within his time. Okay, Drew Bledsoe and Hugh Jackson.
I meant a guy like Drew Bledsoe or Bernie Kosar, that type of guy. Tony Kosar.
Man, you know what a big believer I am in Bill Belichick.
I know.
But it's one thing to be the greatest coach of all time, but when I don't give you the tools to do there, and I feel like Drew Bledsoe is still a pretty good quarterback, and I think he would have been all right under, and I don't think Hugh Jackson's a lost cause. I think if you put him in a different situation, he might be okay.
Okay. Fair enough.
I would still probably go with Hugh and Drew, but if you keep pushing down the quality of the quarterback, now I'm going to start thinking about Bill Belichick. And if you even up Jamarcus Russell the littlest bit, I might take that one. He's so bad in my mind.
When I first thought about the question, I was going to say Tim Couch.
Okay. Maybe because Tim Couch, I think we feel like what would have happened if he'd gone anywhere? I don't know. Marcus Russell seemed like he was going to eat his way out of the NFL no matter where he went.
Yeah, this is true. This is true.
So it's a good question. I don't know where we would cross lines that I would want to switch it up. Okay, it's not Marino, Jamarcus Russell, but yes, there is a point where you'll give me the. I think Bill Belichick turns a lot of quarterbacks into winners due to the team and situation he puts them in.
It's funny. I was like just trying to think like off the top of my head who is like a good quarterback, and I don't know why I just couldn't get Dan Marino out of my head. But I didn't mean someone that good.
Yeah, like I would try to. There's always that spot you have to find, like when you talk about like wins over replacement. Like who would be the most middle of the road quarterback that we've ever seen? Like Joe Flacco?
No, I think he's better than that. The most middle of the road quarterback, the most average quarterback.
Trent Dilfer?
He might be a little below that.
Hold up. Humphrey, no. Middle of the road quarterback. Eli Manning? All right. Well, we'll call it quits. I got somebody in my backyard. I know the dog's not going to stop barking, but we'll be back on here to talk more frequently. Thanks a lot, guys.
Sweet. Thanks, guys.